This video is sponsored by HBO Max. This video is sponsored by HBO Max. Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mike, and to further the plot, my name is Mike. Today we're doing something a little bit special, a little bit fun, and we're going to be talking all about Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, going through the characters, unpacking the plot, making some little guesses and predictions as to what's going to happen at the end of the season. Now, I would consider myself somewhat of a subject matter expert on this show because, it would scare some people. I've spent a long time talking about it. At this point, I've clocked up 7 or 8 hours on this website alone. I just know any day now, some museum's going to call me up and they'll be like, hey babe, we want to cut your wall out and put it in the museum. And I'd be like, sure, because this is art, I'm afraid to say. Now, the legends over at HBO Max gave me early access to the 10 episodes from Original Sin to make this video, but we're going to be covering episodes 1 to 7 specifically so that we can get ready for the last few episodes in the finale, which are airing next week. So I've purposefully not watched past episode 7. As I said, I'm going to be making some guesses as to what happens next, and it'll be so ratty of me to have watched the episodes but then pretend that I haven't seen them. I've said it time and time again, I'm not here to play games. And what we do here on this channel, we do UN-sanctioned activities of intergalactic importance, and I'm not about to lie to you, especially about something as sacred as Pretty Little Liars. So why don't we get started with some opening comments about Original Sin before we get stuck into it. Number 1, this show is scary, okay? She's a slasher and she does in fact slash several times. And because she's slashing, we've got an older audience rating, which means darker themes, darker scenes, swearing, and all that jazz. Remember the days of Spencer Hastings being locked in a hacked sauna and not swearing? I will forgive the hacked digital shower, but I will not forgive the lack of swearing. This time the girls are swearing, and for good reason, because this is sorry for the jump scare, but damn, if I saw that beefy individual running towards me at full speed, I would be swearing. I would be saying every swear word under the sun while running away. That being said, I would 100% outrun this A. It's true. I'm back in my running era and I'm hitting 4.5 minute kilometers, so old mate is just simply not catching me, sorry. However, the thing about this A is that they are upping the body count, like the body count. The kill count on this show is wild. It does feel like the stakes are higher and that anyone could be way old at any second. Now, as we know, I kept the yarn industry afloat with this museum-worthy piece, and this time around we're doing something similar, but we're going digital. There's a couple reasons for this. The first reason is that I want this to be an ongoing thing, and the best way for me to make sure I'll always have access to this Original Sin art is to make it digital. There's almost no limit to how detailed I could make this diagram after 700 seasons. XCX Tina Sal Barbara Spears, my PC, she could handle it. Reason number 2, babe, I've run out of walls. Like, I'm not joking, there are no more walls in this room. So I would have to resort to some ceiling action, and while I'm not against that, if my landlord saw every wall plus the ceiling covered, I think they may have a heart attack and then this room would turn into a crime scene. Let's start with going through the 5 liars and then we'll get into the plot. Obviously, full spoilers from here on out for episodes 1 to 7 of Original Sin. If you haven't seen the show yet, I highly suggest scooting over to HBO Max and catching up before watching this video so that you can join in the discussion and the hypothesizing. Also, I might make some references to the original series, so I guess peripheral spoilers for that as well. I would say each of the liars is equally a main character, but a huge chunk of the initial plot revolves around Imogen Adams, so I think starting with her is a good idea. Now, one thing about Imogen Adams is that she is in the trenches, especially after the events of the pilot. Imogen Adams is driven, decisive, friendly pregnant girl. If she's in charge of chasing up a lead, best believe that lead is getting chased. In terms of horror tropes, and we'll talk about that in a second, I would say that Imogen has Final Girl vibes. Tabitha Tabby Hayworth is smart, loyal horror movie reference girl. I was originally going to say that she's nice to everyone, but I think a more accurate sentence would be she's nice to people who aren't horrible. Noah Oliver is brave athlete, ankle monitor, juvie girl. She's a runner, she's a track star. She also cares deeply about her family and will do anything for them. Minnie Mouse Hanrada is MacBook, Discord, Nintendo Switch, vintage thrifting K-pop tech girl. Caleb Rivers found dead in a ditch, like that's him right there, and it's bad for him. Mouse outsold. And Mouse is just so me-coded in that she's going to play video game and she's going to be scared to go outside, but she's also super smart and observant. Farron Bryant is take no shit, trust no one legend ballet girl. She is quick And she can be savage, but not without reason. If she doesn't like someone, she's gonna let them know. We'll leave the other characters, including love interests and parents, for now, and we'll introduce them as we come across them in the plot. The pilot of Original Sin is called Chapter 1 Spirit Week, and we start with the new opening credits. The first time I watched these new credits, I was kind of screaming and collapsing a little bit. It's like a remix of the original opening song by the Pierces, and instead of having, Doll Allison and Aria going shh, we have A making a scene in the lair. Each liar has some sort of picture of themselves that's destroyed in a way that makes sense for their character. So we have a Polaroid of Imogen being sliced with a Stanley knife, a film strip of Tabby being burned, a picture of Farron with pins being poked in the eyes, a missing person flyer of Mouse being shredded, and Noah's police report being burned. Some of these references only start to make sense after a few episodes, and there's a couple more, such as there's a huge kind of surgical saw on the wall next to Farron's picture. Something I'll flag here is that on the Mouse missing person poster, it says that her birthday is March 13, 1992, whereas references to the other liars in the show suggest that they were born in 2006 and are turning 16 in 2022. Oh, okay, yeah. So what are you planning? What are you plotting? More discussion about the missing person poster later though. Off the top of my head, it's around episode 6 or 7. Also, a fun detail is that every cast member has a red A above their name, but for each person it's in a different font. And I mean, that could be something, that could be nothing, but Marlene is involved, and as we know, Marlene likes to mess with me specifically, so we'll wait and see. We've also got Karen with her eyes crossed out, and then the rest of the references to characters aren't necessarily using a picture of that character. For example, Sheriff Beasley has a badge, and Noah's football boyfriend Sean has a football helmet. And to round things out for the intro, we've got A organising some props, including a red teddy bear, a ripped copy of the Scarlet Letter, a tiara with blood, a page from a diary, a jewelry box with a tag saying, "You're a bad mother," flyers for a 1999 Y2K party, and a picture of 5 teenage girls that aren't the liars. A leaves the lair and turns the light out with a gloved hand. The way the creators of Original Sin saw everyone making those huge Tumblr posts back in 2012 about how A could be XYZ because of one strand of hair. And they said, you know what, let's put A in this huge oversized outfit with this scary ass leatherface mask and hair with no discernible features. Like, try and guess now. Come on, Flop, let's see what you got. The episode starts with a flashback to 1999. Now, this show makes heaps of references to horror movies and horror tropes, and I feel like opening with a flashback is one of those horror references. I would love to have some kind of horror movie reference count running during the recap, but in all honesty, I'm very new to liking horror, so I feel like I would miss heaps. And I guess the flashback is also kind of a reference to the original series, which opened with a flashback scene to the 5 girls in the barn before Allison went missing. So it's December 31st, and we're in Millwood, Pennsylvania. There's a girl saying, "I need help. Sydney, Corey, Davey, please." And we're looking at a 1999 Y2K party from her eyes. Something bad has clearly just happened to her, but we don't know what it was or even who she is at this point. Then the perspective flips and we see her in a white dress stumbling into a warehouse, and she's trying to get people to stop and help her. Sydney nearly helps her, but then a super bitch named Davey is like, "Sydney, no. Ill. I told you not to associate with her." So the girl in the white dress climbs to the rafters, and during the countdown to midnight, she jumps down and basically commits S-word. This girl was Angela Waters, and she is extremely pivotal to the plot, and that will become more evident as we go through the episodes. Boom, 22-year time jump. Imogen Adams is having dinner with her mum. Who's Imogen's mother? Davey Adams, the main evil girlie from the Evil Girlie group in 1999, the one that told Sydney not to help Angela. Imogen and Davey are talking about how, nasty ex-friend is coming over, and said nasty ex-friend arrives, and it's Karen Beasley. Now, Karen is a menace. Karen Beasley is like if Alison de Laurentiis never became nice and permanently stayed in that evil summer flashback mode. So Karen walks into the house and she's like, "Hey, Mrs. Adams, this envelope was attached to your door." Davey opens it. Dun, dun, dun. It's an invitation to the 1999 Y2K party where Angela D-worded. That's suspicious. That's weird. Also, the letter says to Davey on the front in capitals with a red A, and the second I saw that as a veteran, I was like, oh Lord, honey, you got a big storm coming. And she truly does. On the back of the invite, it says, "Gone but not forgotten. You can't ignore the past forever. The countdown is on." Davey, girl, run. Like, I'm serious. And let me say one thing. Alex Drake is mad as hell, because this is already scarier than most of her messages. Imogen and Karen are in Imogen's room, and the vibes are rancid. These two were besties, but then something happened, and Karen says to Imogen, "You sucked my boyfriend's face. So something went down at a party and now they're enemies. Karen goes to leave and sees all this water in the hallway coming from the bathroom. They go into the bathroom and Davy Adams has apparently S-worded in the bathtub and there's an A in blood on the bathroom wall. Wow. Like I screamed a bit, I'm not gonna lie. 1 month time jump, it's September 28th and it's Millwood present day. Millwood is immediately not Rosewood. It's a completely different vibe. This is a blue collar working town and the slogan on the welcome board at the edge of town says, "Let Millwood steal your heart and babe consider it stole." This is not Lasagna Box, Daddy's Money, Huge Houses, Hastings Barn town. This is Train Track, Abandoned Warehouse, Grey Skies town. Next we meet Tabby and her mother. They're talking about how Imogen is staying with them and how Imogen's already going back to school. Some key info here, Davy was a single mum, so Imogen would have totally been on her own after that situation. Turns out that Tabby's mum is, drumroll please, Sydney from the 1999 flashbacks, which means that she was besties with Davy. Do you see where this is going? At school, it's Spirit Week, and as Imogen and Tabby are walking into the school, Purge the Poison by Marina is playing. Like, ooh, the music in this show is slaying this time around. Like they said, we got that HBO money, let's put the bops in. Just you wait for Mouse's intro song. Like I screamed, I really did. Like, let me catch my breath. Anyway, Karen is being an asshole to Imogen and says something like, "No one wants your pregnant, tragic ass here." Like, damn. This girlie's mum just died. Like, Karen, you are the worst. All the remaining liars are introduced via interactions with Karen. Farron walks straight past her and ignores her. Karen calls Mouse rodent and makes a joke about how Mouse is looking at the school Spectrum Club poster about coming out. And Noah tells Mouse that Karen and her sister Kelly are evil twins. Now, Miss Noah has an ankle monitor and has to give the nurse a urine sample every day. She's also dating Sean, and Sean is nice football boyfriend guy, and he's very accommodating about the whole ankle monitor drama. Now, Noah is actually the first to get an anonymous text, and her text says, "Don't do the crime if you can't do the time," to which she responds, "Who the fuck is this?" Do you see what I mean about the swearing adding a lot? In film class, Tabby gets a text saying, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And I was like, aha, I know that one. That's Scream. That's the Drew Barrymore Scream scene. Imogen gets a text saying, "Look out the window," and she does, and it's literally A standing there. Like A is just like standing there outside the window. Like, damn, this A is simply not in the mood to move and shake in the shadows. Mouse is in the computer lab listening to Pop Stars by KDA. Don't. They did that for me specifically. I love that song. Turn it up. Mouse gets a text that says, "Can Minnie Mouse come out to play XOXO Mickey?" No. No, thank you. Next we meet Ash. Ash has been putting up the Spectrum posters. He introduces himself to Mouse and asks her out to lunch. More on Ash in episode 2. Also, Mouse's mum Elodie is one of the 1999 girls. The rest of the episode is Karen being a menace and ruining everything with her twin sister Kelly. Now we need to pause and discuss something. Karen and Kelly are played by the same person. When I clicked on that, I was like, you're joking, you're playing my leg, you're playing games right now. But no, Miss Mallory had me gagged. Like, where is her Golden Globe? Where's her Emmy? Where's her Oscar? Where's her Tony? Where's her Grammy? But yeah, basically, Karen is the worst. She's making racial microaggressions toward Farron in ballet class after Farron scores the role of Black Swan. Farron calls her mother Corey to tell her that she got the role, and what do you know? Corey is one of the 1999 girls. Now, Farron's ballet teacher, Madame Giry, she is so Scary Lady A vibes, but I'm sorry, she's simply not A. Like, the build does not match. Anyway, Madame Giry references Farron's scoliosis secret and says how it could hinder her chances of getting into a good ballet school, so she's like, "I'll keep your secret." Time for some Tabby plot points. She goes into the boys' locker room after hours and pulls a camera from under the sink. What's going on? At her movie theater job, we meet her boss, Wes, who is creepy. He's all like, "You need a ride home after work, and you remind me so much of the girls I used to date." Blech. When Wes is giving Tabby a ride home, he pulls over to make out with her, and she's very obviously uncomfortable with the situation, but everything stops because A is standing there in the bushes watching them. Tabby's like, who is that? And Wes is like, what the hell? Let's Charlie XCX vroom vroom, let's ride. Like, Wes gives me A vibes, but A was right there and Wes was famously in the car. So does that mean that he's not A? I guess so for now. We'll talk more about that later. We also meet Tabby's best friend and workmate Chip, who is just simply not crusty male. Several of the men in this show are already crusty beyond belief, but so far the love interest / friends, they seem okay. We've got Sean, Ash and Chip. At Noah's community service, we meet our next menace, Sheriff Beasley, who is Kelly and Karen's dad. Noah sees Sheriff Beasley getting a Boris Johnson, a BJ from this random student age looking guy. Also, it's secrets and drama. Sheriff Beasley is scary vibes, like could be A vibes. He also looks like Alexander Skarsgård in Big Little Lies and... yeah. And also, speaking of crusty men, Karen's boyfriend Greg, but we'll talk about him more later. In our next mother introduction, Call Me Mother, we meet Noah's mother Marjorie, who is of course one of the 1999 girlies. Imogen gets called into the principal's office and he says that her presence is making some students uncomfortable, which is obviously Karen. So Imogen goes and blows up at Karen in the cafeteria, and to piss her off, she says that she's going to run against her for Spirit Queen. Imogen finds the Y2K pamphlet that Karen gave her mother and she's like, raise your hand if you're scared. And her hand was well and truly raised. She doesn't think that Davey KYS'd, and now she thinks that something strange was going on. More on this maybe episode 3-ish. Also, towards the end of the episode, A just straight up kills the janitor. Like slashes his neck goodbye. And for a few episodes, I was like, why is no one finding the body? But turns out A has been stashing the bodies in a van. Slay. Also, before, the janitor was giving Farron creepy looks and now he's dead. So I guess the moral of the story is don't be creepy and you'll be fine. The next day, the girls arrive at school and someone has slashed Karen's Spirit Queen posters and put Imogen ones up conveniently the day after Imogen said that she was running, so it looks like Imogen did it. It was A that did it, but the girls think that Karen did it and everyone else thinks that Imogen did it. A puts razor blades in Karen's ballet shoes and the girls think that Karen did it to herself and everyone else thinks that Farron did it. Same thing with A putting a dead mouse in Karen's bag and framing Noah with a urine sample that tests positive for cannabis. So they're all in detention and they get to talking and they all think that Karen is responsible for getting them there. And remember, up until this point, these girls weren't really friends. Some of them didn't even know each other. So I mean, without Karen, they wouldn't have been forced to talk to each other and get to know each other in detention. The last scene of the pilot is Imogen saying, I think we should kill Karen Beasley. And slyly Madison ate that line up. It's simple. We kill the Batman. Initially, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. You're going to kill that girl, like damn. But it's actually more like kill her reputation via cancellation and embarrassment, which is what happens in episode 2. Chapter 2, The Spirit Queen. We open at a party about 6 months ago at Karen and Kelly's. At this point, Imogen is besties with Karen. She's also not pregnant. I would consider this party to be one of the pivotal original sin intersection points. Tabby and Chip are there, Noah and Sean are there, and they're flirty, but they're not together yet. Tipsy Imogen is looking for Greg to ask him to get more beer for Karen, and he's crusty, sees that she's tipsy and kisses her. Kelly sees this. Kelly tells Karen. Karen blows up at Imogen and kicks her out of the party. So Imogen leaves the party by herself and drunk, and we'll talk more about that later. Present day Imogen in detention's like, hey queens, I've got some news for you. I've got an embarrassing video of Karen from that one party 6 months ago that would totally ruin her reputation if people saw it. The girls are like, damn, that's crazy. But also, let's not post that online because the internet is forever and that would be really mean. So Tabby's like, I work at the movie theater and I could edit it down to be super short and screen it before a Jordan Peele double feature. That way people wouldn't be able to save it and probably wouldn't have enough time to get their phones out to record it. Now girlies, this is a bad decision. You may want to rethink this one. And they do rethink it and they're like, maybe not. Let's not do that. But then A texts them all videos of the Karen framification evidence, putting the blades in the shoes, slashing the posters, and acting like Karen is doing it. A also texts Mouse a video of K wording a mouse. That is capital N nasty. So with this new undeniable evidence, they all do a vote to see if they're going to screen it. And they all vote, I do, yes, let's screen it. So at least there's solidarity in their flopping. I was like, I would never have done that. But then I was also like, I've never been a 15-year-old girl. And also, when I was in year 8, someone threw a ninth of a beef pie at me. And if I had those facilities to exact revenge, maybe I would have done it too. You don't know me like that. So the video gets screened. Karen is super drunk in it and acting a fool. Some random guy is recording it. It's taken the night of the party 6 months ago, just after Kelly told Karen that Imogen kissed Greg. The video makes Karen look really bad, and it's horrible that they screened it. In the video, Karen's about to show this random guy the girls, but then the screening cuts out. So the girls are like, great, we've humiliated Karen a bit, now she's going to leave everyone alone. In a flashback, we see that the guy recording was this asshole Tyler, and that Imogen found them in the room together and stopped stopped Karen from being taken advantage of beyond what was recorded in the video. Back in the present day, Karen and Kelly benched plotting. Kelly as Karen tells the principal that she, Karen, damaged the posters, which she, Karen, did not, but she's saying that she, Karen, did do it, and she's also saying that she's pulling out of the Spirit Queen race so that Imogen can win. This is all an elaborate plan to get Imogen on the stage so that they can dunk a bucket of paint on her head, Carrie style. I'm getting Tina season 5 Glee flashbacks. Something that I wanted to flag is that when the girls arrive at the Spirit Week dance, Imogen goes up to Karen and says, "Hey Karen," but Karen says, "Oh no, I'm actually Kelly." But why would Imogen, who was previously best friends with Karen and would probably have known them both for a long time, why would she mess that up? Anyway, Imogen is announced as Spirit Queen. She gets up on the stage. Karen is up in the rafters with the bucket. Tabby, Mouse, Noah, and Farron see her and try to warn Imogen. Imogen looks up and the 5 liars see A grab Karen and push her from the rafters. She dies. Oh, 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 like it could not be worse for her. A is just offing people left, right, and center. The girls get a text. I've got a text. It reads, "To thine own self be true. 1 bully down, 5 more to go. Keep quiet about me or you're next. -A." I think this is the first official A text with the -A. They all had anonymous text messages, but this one, it's a -A, like it is serious. But A is in the rafters with 2 hands on the rail. How did he text? Is it a timed text situation, or is the person in the mask not A and someone else is A and these are 2 different people? Time for some episode 2 character introductions. Farron's dad, Zeke. He's a nice guy. Looks like Farron's mum lives in Philadelphia and he looks after her in Millwood. We've also got Farron's male dance partner, Henry. Ooh, like they're flirting. They are flirty. He's nice, and he also stands up for her against Madame Giry when Farron says that she can dance one of the bigger roles and Giry's like, no. Also, let's officially get Principal Clanton on the board. He's kind of ratty. Like, he hasn't really done anything, but he's kind of ratty, you know? Like, he's a ratty person. You know a ratty person. Think of a ratty person right now. Like, I know you can think of a ratty person. Let's talk some more about Chip. Noah implies that Chip is Tabby's boyfriend, and she's like, no, he's kind of like my gay best friend that just so happens to be straight, but he's crushing on her. Oof. Like, he says he'll project the video if she agrees to go to the Spirit Week dance with him. Like, he'll do anything for her. Also in episode 2, we had Sheriff Beasley basically threatening Noah to keep her mouth shut about the Boris Johnson. And Mouse and Ash had a cute moment where they were outside the dance. Oh my gosh, this is so realistic. I'm so Mouse and Ash vibes. Oh my god, I'm so MASH. Chapter 3, The Aftermath. We pick up immediately after Karen was murdered. Everybody's reacting. Tabby's mum, Sydney, is having flashbacks to Angela D wording at the Y2K party in 1999. Back then, no one called the police or an ambulance for Angela for days because they all assumed that someone else would do it. And this feeds into the storyline that Angela was a nobody. Nobody was looking out for her, no one cared about what happened to her. In the present day, the liars don't want to tell Sheriff Beasley about what they saw because of the A-text basically threatening them if they said anything. Bad news for the girls though, Sheriff Beasley's just found out about the screening. He's fucking fuming. Like, he is on a warpath to blame the girls for his daughter's death. His working theory is that the video they made pushed Karen to jump, so he wants them to go down for murder. It's really not looking good for them. Like, it's arguably never looked worse for them. Farron gets kicked out of dance class. Mouse gets her devices taken away. Tabby is told to quit working at the movie theater. All the mothers are like, are you clowns for real? Making and screening that video? The mums also have a little meet and greet in the now empty Adams house. Well, the alive ones anyway. R.I.P. to Davey. Corey's in town and she's serving lawyer slay. She's going to defend the girls against Sheriff Beasley, and she also says that he shouldn't even be involved because he's too close to the case, which is very true. He tries to get Noah, Farron, and Mouse to turn on Tabby and Imogen, and initially they're like, are they even our friends? Which is like fair. You literally just became new friends via trauma. But then eventually they're like, no, we're not going to turn on them. We're amigas, cheaters, friends for life. Now Tabby is trying to find the USB or the flash drive with the Karen video on it. Chip says he left it at the movie theater, so she looks for it. Turns out crusty boss Wes has it. He says that if she wants the USB, she's going to have to come to his house for dinner. Blech. She goes to this feral dinner date and manages to steal the USB and sneak out before anything crusty happens. This man is like 30, flirting with a 15-year-old. Like, it's getting weird. It's been got weird. Imogen's been doing some sleuthing and went through her mother's yearbook and keeps seeing all these references to a Y2K survivors club. So she's like, let me look up Y2K, January 1st, 2000. Let's look at some newspapers from that time. And she finds an article about a body found in a warehouse the body of Angela Waters. Babe, the paths are truly starting to intersect. Imogen goes to the abandoned warehouse and finds a shrine to Angela Waters. In the shrine, she sees this copy of the Scarlet Letter and she can see that it's been rented out to Angela Waters several times. The big leather-faced man. I'm going to make a distinction here. I'm going to say A when I'm thinking about A, as in Miranda Priestley. When I'm thinking about text and that kind of stuff, that's A. When I'm talking about the big man with the leather face, that's Leatherface. Leatherface comes to the shrine and nearly finds Imogen, but she gets away. This does, however, mean that he knows about the shrine. Imogen tells Tabby about the shrine and the fact that Leatherface was there, and Tabby's like, cool, let's go put a camera. Let's set up a camera there so we can catch him. They go back to the shrine to set up the camera, and guess who they see there? Tabby's mum. So now the girls know that the mums are involved somehow and know Angela somehow. Sydney tells Tabby and Imogen about how Angela jumped at the Y2K party, but she doesn't really give much info beyond that, and it's a little bit sus that she doesn't. Imogen shows Sydney the Y2K flyer that Karen gave her mum the day she died, and Sydney's like, put that thing back where you found it, also help me. Noah reveals to Sean that she never even did drugs, and that when she got arrested for possession, she was actually covering for her mum so that her mum wouldn't get arrested. And Sean's like, what kind of mother does that? What kind of mother leave her one son over a stack, to quote Nikki? Kelly sees that her dad is going X Games mode, going after the girls, and she tells the principal about the carry bucket plan. He tells the sheriff. Sheriff is like, wait, let me change my mind. Like, it's giving accidental fall, it's not giving murder. Also, no text from A in episode 3. Chapter 4, The Female Gaze. In episode 4, Farron is back in the Black Swan as the Black Swan. Turns out her mother threatened Madame Giry with a good time, aka a lawsuit. In 1999 flashbacks, Marjorie is pressuring Angela to smoke cigarettes with her, but when the janitor finds them, she throws Angela under the bus. She's like, Angela did it, not me. Also, Spice Girls is playing in the background of this flashback, and you know how much I love the Spice Girls. This particular song is Say You'll Be There, but Too Much by the Spice Girls is in my top 10 songs ever. And one thing about me, I'm going to listen to a song. Like, I listen to a lot of songs I be streaming, so that's a big call. Anyway, present day Marjorie is at work and gets a delivery. It's the red bear that she gave Angela as a sorry present in 1999, but now it's wearing a jumper that says Mother of the Year with a red A, and also the bear's holding a jar of pills that say Addict, also with a red A. A is really going after the mums, like, it's a little bit targeted, you know what I mean? Noah suspects that her mum is using again, so she goes through her bag and finds a jar of pills that aren't hers. This is actually a cute little PLL Easter egg because the patient that these pills belong to is actually the techno boy toy himself, Caleb Rivers. It's your pills. I've got your pills here. Do you want your pills? Not very talkative, are ya? He doesn't want the pills. Now things are starting to get spooky in Kellytown. She switches to Karen's dance locker and says something microaggression-y to Farron that Karen used to say. So Farron's like, what in the Freaky Friday is going on here? Kelly's wearing Karen's leotard. Henry says that Kelly's suddenly a much better dancer and it's like dancing with Karen again. So Farron's theory is that Kelly actually died pretending to be Karen and Karen is alive pretending to be Kelly, which would match up with why Imogen said Karen instead of Kelly at the dance because Kelly was up in the rafters. So Farron gets Henry to give Kelly a foot rub to see if she has scars on her foot because Karen would have scars on her foot from when the blades were put in the ballet shoes. So he does the foot rub and she does have scars on her foot. It's getting spooky, like it's really, really getting spooky out here. Ash asks Mouse out for Halloween and he specifically says, usually I go to a midnight movie at the Orpheum, which is the movie theatre, but I hear they're not showing one this year. And I'm mentioning this because it must mean that people who work at the movie theatre would be free Halloween night because the movie theatre's shut. So anyway, Ash asks Mouse out and Mouse is saying, oh, I don't know if my mums will let me, and we're hearing this a lot. She also said in the pilot that her name is Minnie because her mums are obsessed with Disney and want her to stay a child forever. I'm just mentioning it here, but we'll discuss it more in depth in episode 5, 6, and 7. Now, Tabby and Chip are chatting about movies and we get this shot. I was kind of gooped and gagged here because if I was making a TV show and I wanted to reference horror movies and I wanted to put a little clue in, then I would do something like this. I think this shot is either implying that Chip is going to die or is A, if we're assuming that A and Leatherface are two different people. I'm just planting the seed. I'm watering the garden like it's my job job. It's my job to hypothesize. For their film class assessment, Tabby and Chip are going to shoot a gender-flipped version of the shower scene from Psycho, so female killer, male victim. And when Tabby is in the class explaining her concept, we have this shot. I don't know if you put this one with the other one, like it really has me thinking, is looking the same direction as the American Psycho. Is he perhaps also an American Psycho? So Tabby and Chip shoot the scene with Farron and Greg as the actors. Tabby goes out for some air and sees the woods in the distance and is having flashbacks to something happening at a party there, but we don't really know what. Imogen finds one of her mum's diaries while cleaning out the house. She's like, there must be more. So she digs around and finds the high school ones, but there's a bunch of pages missing. Okay, now for the big scream of episode 4. Noah gets a text from an unknown number, not marked as by A. The text is about her mum and says she never learned her lesson. Mummy was going to throw you under the bus again, just like she did to Angela Waters. So this is obviously about the pills. Now Noah's also ordered a pizza and she goes downstairs to collect it and she sees that someone has broken into the building. She goes back up to her apartment and sees A, Leatherface, trying to get into her apartment, and we get a chase scene. But this chase scene, it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. In my opinion, it doesn't look like he's trying to hurt her. It looks like he's trying to stop her from exiting the building. Specifically, like she falls and tries to reach out and he tries to grab her ankle with the ankle monitor to pull her back into the building. So I'm like, are you trying to stop her from leaving the building so the ankle monitor doesn't go off? Anyway, she jumps across the rooftop to get away from him and she's like, what do you want from me? And he says in like a growly voice, this is the first time we've heard A speak in the show, he says, punish the guilty, referring to her mother. I actually think I slayed that a little bit. It's the sore throat, like it helps with my A voice. Chapter 5, The Night He Came Home. Episode 5 is a banger. I mean, it's Halloween, and as we know, PLL brings the goods for a Halloween episode. During 1999 Halloween flashbacks, we have the 5 super bitches making Angela Waters throw dog shit in a bag at a house, and then when she does it, they drive off, so she's left stranded. Zombie Spice Girls. How do you think I feel about that? Cue the Addison Rae on the speaker, babe. I'm obsessed. Back to present day. Henry told Farron about the scar on Kelly's foot, which would corroborate her theory. She goes to Madame Giry with this information, and Giry says that Kelly self-harms, and that's why she has these scars. So now either the theory is flopping or Madame Giry is in some kind of cahoots with Kelly. But Madame Giry be Angela Waters' mum? We're going off script. That's right off the dome. Maybe Kelly is Kelly, and if she's being nasty, nasty girl, it's because she always was nasty, nasty girl, but she was always overshadowed by Karen, but now it's her time to shine. Mouse is FaceTiming a random middle-aged man on her computer, and I'm like, Horton hears a who the fuck is that? She's also got a stack of missing children printouts next to her on her desk. He wants to meet up and she's like, yep, Halloween, let's do dinner where no one can see us, and then I want to go trick-or-treating, is that okay? And he's like, yep, that's great. Rachel loved trick-or-treating. So it would appear that Mouse is comforting this guy whose daughter Rachel was kidnapped by pretending to be Rachel sometimes. And at the end of the episode, we see Mouse going through a box of photos of her with all these random adults. So it seems like she's done this quite a few times. So, was she kidnapped as a child? Which would explain why her mums won't let her do anything. And maybe she feels like she can help other parents who are going through what her parents went through. More on that in episode 6 and 7. Tabby confronts Wes about the crusty USB date situation, and he apologizes. And the fact that he's still in the show is interesting to me. I feel like his storyline was potentially kind of done, but now he's back. So I'm like, why are you back? I don't think he's Leatherface because the build and the walk don't really match up. But then I also don't think that he's A, because I feel like A is someone younger, but I don't know, he's definitely sus. Imogen holds a Save My House Halloween party so that she can raise money and take over the mortgage repayments so that she wouldn't have to sell the house. There's an absolute crusty on location at the party, Tyler, the guy who filmed Karen at the party 6 months ago. Tabby interrogates Tyler asking if he attended a party in the woods, which is the one that she's having flashbacks about, but he doesn't remember. Now, who else is in attendance at this Halloween party? Leatherface, yeah. He's in the basement, you know, getting a spooky ass pumpkin mask to cover his leather mask, like he is masked up. While down there in his sort of like Angela Waters memories box, we see this photo. I think the baby in this photo is Angela and then the kid is him, which would mean that he's like Angela's older brother or cousin or family friend or something. And if you think about it, the age would kind of make sense. I reckon that's him. That's my theory. Print it in the papers, put it on the blogs. At the party, Farron sees Kelly and Greg making out. Ooh. I know I said it got weird before, but it's getting so weird to the point now that we're like entering another dimension of weird. Like, it's so strange. So Farron's like, Operation Kelly is Karen is back on because we've got fresh evidence. But I'm like, I don't think that's the case anymore. Kelly is sister snatching everything that Karen had and she, Kelly, couldn't have. I mean, as one Supreme falls, another rises, right? Mouse and Ash kiss at the party. Farron and Henry kiss at the party. Tabby and Chip don't kiss, actually. Krusty Tyler tries to crack onto Mouse and Tabby's like, I think the fuck not. Absolutely not. No, not in this economy. No, 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 no. So they have a little yelling match and she punches him in the nose and breaks his nose. Slay. Leatherface sees Tyler go into the bathroom to wipe the blood off his nose, follows him in there and kills him. Like, it's getting serious. Like, it was just a case of bye flop. But it's very interesting to me as a plot observer that Leatherface saw Tyler harassing the liars and then goes and kills Tyler and stashes him in a van. Like, as far as we know, Tyler has no relation to the Angela Waters plot. So what's old mate Bestie up to? The end of the episode is Madame Giry telling Farron that she's been booted from being the Black Swan because she's been harassing Kelly for being Karen. And we have a scene of Kelly telling her mum that she's going to be the Black Swan, and her mum turns to her and says, "That's great news, Karen." And that truly does make you think, does it not? What's your game, girl? Are you Kelly? Are you Karen? Are you Christina Aguilera? Chapter 6, Scars. In episode 6, Imogen and Tabby confide in each other that they were both SA'd. Tabby was at a party in the woods when it happened and she can't remember specific details about who did it, but the woods setting matches the flashbacks that she's been having. She originally thought it was Tyler, but then stalked him online and found pictures of him at a family vacation at the same time. Imogen was assaulted the night that Karen kicked her out of the house party for kissing Greg, so at this point I think this was about 7 months ago. So this is the night that Imogen got pregnant and she doesn't know who assaulted her. All she remembers is that she woke up on a beach. Farron's mother Corey gets a gift from A. That's a tattoo gun covered in blood with a note that says, "Some scars you see, some you don't, but they all hurt." This is paired with a 1999 flashback where Corey convinces Angela to get tattoos with her and Angela's going to get an A on her arm. And Corey's like, yeah, I'll do it straight after you. But then when Angela gets hers done, Corey has like left the premises. So Rachel and Kurt Glee New York, it's Get Better tattoo vibes. The episode title being Scars is also a reference to Farron's scoliosis. She had an extremely painful corrective surgery when she was younger, which has caused like 8 years of pain and has constantly threatened to derail her dancing career. As bad as this was, Farron always figured that the surgery was necessary and she didn't have any other options. But it turns out the doctor advised against the surgery and her mother, who's obsessed with appearances and other people's opinions, pushed for the surgery. Imogen has been calling members of the Y2K Survivors Club from the yearbook and no one wants to answer her questions or talk to her about the party or Angela Waters except for a guy named Joseph England who refers to himself as Crazy Joe and lives in an abandoned train yard. She's like, "Slay, Tabby, let's go meet him." Crazy Joe says that he was in love with Angela in high school and that gaggle of she-bitches turned her head and took her away from him, referring to the 1999 mothers. He does give Leatherface vibes and he does match my anticipated Leatherface age group, but it would be way too obvious. But he also has a motive because he was in love with Angela, so maybe it is him. I don't know. I'm not sure. Joe tells them that Angela's only family was her mother Rose, who snapped after what happened to Angela, and she was committed to ... Radley Sanitarium. You're joking, you're having a laugh. Now, Rose being Angela's only family is interesting because who the hell was that in the photo then? Somebody's lying, like someone's telling lies, babe. Like it's either him covering his tracks by saying that the mother was the only family or something else is going on. What? Tabby and Imogen road trip to Rosewood to go to the Radley Sanitarium, but wait, Radley Sanitarium is now the Radley Hotel. Ah yes, a classic locale. Pretty Little Lies season 7 girlies make some noise. Where's Sarah Harvey? Hey. Throwback to Sarah Harvey and the hole in the wall in the closet. It's a classic moment. Like it's classic. That's literally cinema history. So they're in Rosewood, but they don't meet any of the original characters except for Eddie Lamb, who, as we know, worked at the Radley Sanitarium, but now he's the maintenance manager at the Radley Hotel. He's just out of frame, but he's up there. He's also played by a different actor in this show compared to the original show. So you seeing him up here doesn't really mean anything. He was skinny legend though. Like he was always like around, like there was always something going on. He had some cool plot lines with Spencer and Toby, so you know it's fun that he got a little cameo in this show. Eddie says that he remembers Rose Waters and that when the Radley Sanitarium closed down, she was allowed to just leave. Interesting, very, very interesting. That means Rose Waters, she is possibly around up to something. Is she possibly Madame Giry? Imogen and Tabby come across a check-in book for the Radley Sanitarium, and they find A. Waters has been checking in a lot to see Rose Waters, but the A. Waters signatures are different. Like there's 6 different types of signatures, and they show Eddie a picture of their mothers in 1999. He's like, yep, those 5 girls came to visit Rose Waters. So they're 5 of the 6, but who is the 6th person pretending to be Angela Waters, babe? Like, what? I reckon there's something going on here with like Leatherface being like the brother or something that was snatched or something. There's got to be like a missing person link here, which is maybe linked to the birthday on the mouse poster on the intro. And this like sibling was snatched, but then had been checking in as Angela Waters to see the mother or something. Like, bro. Eddie also offhand mentions that Rose had a mental break because she found out that Angela was R-worded just before she jumped to her death. So now we know the night of the 1999 party, there was also some sort of assault just before Angela died. So that brings in another person to that plot line. Noah turns down an opportunity on the track team because of the drama with her mum. Marjorie was fired after A and Leatherface forced Noah to call the hospital and tell the truth about her mum stealing the drugs. It sounds like Marjorie's going to go to rehab, so it looks like maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but then Marjorie decides she's not going to rehab and is instead getting a job at the pizza place and is now buying drugs because she can't steal them from the hospital because she got fired. Mouse has another video call with Steve and says that the arrangement was one physical meetup and now he needs to leave her alone. She also confirms what we thought was happening in episode 5, that she gives these parents one more memory with their missing child. Then we've got Mouse on a bowling date with Ash and Steve shows up. Creepy. Side note, I love bowling. Yeah, it's true. It's very true. I'm having a little bit of a bowling renaissance. My first bowl back after a while, yeah, I was doing 70. We don't need to talk about it. But then the next one, I was like, whoa, triple digits. Like it was all happening. It was all going down. Now here's a big scream from episode 6. Kelly's rehearsing for Swan Lake and gets a text from an unknown number, and the text says, Kelly or Karen. Someone in a Swan Lake outfit and mask appears and starts chasing her around this locked room with a machete until she admits to being Kelly. It must be Leatherface, but I'm also a bit confused as to why he would care if Kelly was Karen. Like, why does this impact you? There's like one piece of that puzzle missing. Like, why would he kill her for being Karen? Unless it's another example of this kind of twisted protection where he takes out the liar's perceived enemies. In this case, Kelly or Karen is Farron's perceived enemy. Anyway, I think that Kelly's tearful confession to being Kelly in the face of imminent death by a machete is proof enough for me that Kelly is Kelly. She also drops out of Swan Lake and Farron is put back in as the Black Swan and slays the performance. One thing about Madame Giry is she's going to recast that damn production of Swan Lake. In protest of her mother's actions regarding the scoliosis surgery, Farron updates her like little bio for the show to say that she's dancing with her scars visible. And her mother Corey arrives at the venue, sees this bio, gets spooked, leaves and gets in a car crash. Chapter 7, Carnival of Souls. If episode 6 was the Farron episode, episode 7 is the Mouse episode. Her mum Elodie gets an invite to the carnival from A with a message that says, meet me in the Hall of Mirrors. And we get a flashback to Elodie and Angela in the Hall of Mirrors in 1999 and they're kissing. Davey comes in and sees them kissing and Elodie's like, oh my God, David, did you see that? She attacked me. So it looks like A is well and truly making the mums pay for what they did to Angela. Mouse finally tells Ash her near kidnapping story. At the Millwood Carnival when she was 5, she wandered off from her mums and this random man offered her fairy floss and she was taking the fairy floss, walking away with him. Then her mum saw this happening, ran up and grabbed her, and the man ran off. Mouse tells Ash that the man was some random and they never heard from him again. Also, Triple CU Corey car crash update. She has a broken leg, but she's fine. Also, the girls are like, why is A going after us and not going after the man who assaulted Angela? And also, why kill Karen? These are excellent questions, girls, and I would love to know those answers myself. There's definitely something, like it's a little piece, like a little tiny piece missing. There's a school assignment where they have to pair up and look after a fake baby, and we have Imogen pairing up with Chip. Imogen puts the baby down for a second, and A hides it in the janitor's closet with a note that says, you're a bad mother, and she finds it after looking with Chip. A plot line directly involving Chip and A where Chip helps Imogen find the baby. He's a bit too nice. I'm suspicious. Like, why are you so nice? Chip and Imogen are starting to have flirty vibes, so she goes and gets the all clear from Tabby, because remember Tabby says that they're just friends. So Chip and Imogen end up kissing at the carnival. Steve is back at it again with the harassing and texts Mouse to say that he's got them tickets for the carnival. Mouse is like, this ends now, and she finds out where he works and she goes to confront him. He says that he knows her mum, Elodie. Dun dun dun. I can't put too much force on the throat, babe. He met her at a support group for parents whose kids were snatched. Sorry. Mouse is like, GOT, step back. What are you talking about? A, I wasn't snatched. Like, I was nearly snatched, but I wasn't snatched. And B, my mum goes to a book club on the nights that this support group apparently meets. She gets a text saying, the man who tried to take you wasn't a stranger. And the text is not signed by A. At the carnival, Mouse and Ash go into the House of Mirrors where she sees Leatherface. He starts full on chasing them and I was shitting. Like, it was chase, not like ooh la la la. It was like boof, boof, boof. And those footfalls were heavy. Doof, doof, doof. Azalea Banks sampled that doof doof when she made 212. Doof, 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 doof. Yeah. The timing of this chase scene was interesting because he's chasing Mouse when she's with Ash. So I'm almost like, who's the actual target here? And remember, at the start of the episode, Elodie got the message from A saying, meet me in the Hall of Mirrors. So was he expecting Elodie? Which would kind of check out with the other threats the other mums were getting. Elodie gets a text that says, if you're not honest with Mouse, your worst fears will come true. And she's like, damn, we got to get to that carnival stat. Her wife is like, honey, sweetie, like you're doing a lot. Like you're doing so much these days. Some would say too much. And if you leave, I can't promise what will be waiting for you when you get back. Ash and Mouse escape the Hall of Mirrors and Mouse runs into her mum. Elodie reveals that the man that tried to take Mouse when she was 5 years old was her biological father, and that after college, Elodie needed money, so she was a surrogate for a couple. But none of this happened through an agency, so Elodie just kept the baby. So when he tried to take her, he was apparently trying to spend time with his biological child. Also, Mouse reveals that she was the one who sent the text to Elodie about worst fears coming true. And I was like, damn, that's kind of tea. This further pushes my narrative that any text not signed by -A did not necessarily come from A. Also, at the carnival, Sean nearly gets into a fight with some Rosewood Crusties, and Noah's like, what the hell was that? Since when are you meathead fighting guy? This is interesting, and I think it will have some significance later because why else include it? I reckon it'll be something like Sean having anger management issues, or maybe like he is secretly taking some sort of performance enhancing drug that's making him angry or something like that. There's something going on there and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Sheriff Beasley interrogates Tabby about Tyler's disappearance. She's obviously a suspect because the last time that Tyler was seen alive was at that house party where she broke his nose. Also, Tabby has another like memory flashback to that party in the woods, and there's this sort of like blurry half-second frame, and I'm like, Mama, that's Chip. That's Crisp. So now I'm convinced that Chip was at the party. Farron's back pain is getting bad again, so she goes to see a specialist, and the specialist is like, you're going to have to stop dancing for at least 6 months. Remember, this is all stemming from that cooked surgery that her mum made her get 8 years ago. At the end of the episode, the liars all get a text from A, and it's a picture of Tyler's body in a bin. Everybody screamed. Everybody collapsed. So that's where things sit at the end of episode 7. Here's the full completed graphic, and yeah, look, I know this is mega slay. Like, you don't need to tell me because I already know. So white lines are just kind of like base connections like friendships or whatever. Then red lines are direct interactions with A or plot lines that are revolved around A. Then green is like love interest or had some kind of romantic connection like that. Blue is like familial relation beyond white lines. And purple is 1999 flashbacks. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a genius. Like, I'm a genius, sorry. It definitely feels like we're barreling towards some reveals at the end of the season. So based on what has happened so far, I'm going to make some guesses about what's going to happen next. My first prediction is that A and Leatherface are two different people, maybe working together, maybe not. Leatherface definitely gives the vibe that they're focusing specifically on Angela Waters related activities, but all of the messages to the parents so far have been marked as being by A, so the letter to Davy, the tattoo gun for Corey, the bear for Marjorie, circus invite for Elodie. But Leatherface was at the Angela Waters shrine in episode 3 when Imogen goes to the abandoned warehouse. I mean, I could be totally wrong here, and if I am, I feel like HBO, you should be considering rewrites because I'm slaying. I think that Leatherface is the boy in the picture from the box and that he's somehow related to Angela by blood or by family connection or something. There's just got to be something with that. Even though there's been specific references to Rose being the only surviving family member of Angela, there's something going on there. I'm telling you, believe me. A big part of my theory here relies on how this show likes to reference classic movies and horror tropes. Like, I could definitely see some sort of Frankenstein's monster situation here where Leatherface executes all the tasks but doesn't have the cognition to plan everything. So A writes the messages and Leatherface does the dirty work. So by that line of thinking, I guess Leatherface is motivated by avenging Angela's death and assault, and this other person, A, is, I don't know, they've got some other motive that we don't know about, and then these two are working together. But why would they work together? Bro, the holes in this theory. It's like I can drain the pasta. La 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 pasta. I'll make a sieve out of the theory and I can drain the pasta in it. Anyway, if there's two people involved here, I think the second person would have to be in that younger age group. So Leatherface is closer to the parents' age group and A is closer to the liar's age group. If we've already met A in the show, I would say my main suspects are Chip, Wes, and Sean. If it's not them, then there's definitely something else going on there. Like, those boys are sus. I mentioned that I think Chip was at the party in the woods, and if that's the case, then maybe he had something to do with Tabby's assault, like either directly or indirectly. Tabby and Imogen feel like there's a chance that the same person assaulted both of them, and if I'm saying that that's Chip, then that would imply that Chip is the baby's father, which would add another layer to the episode where he was playing fake parents with Imogen. All right, problem with this theory. Chip seems like a nice guy. In fact, people specifically go out of their way in this show to say that Chip is a nice guy. I think it's happened a couple of times. That in itself is sus. To me, this is actually another piece of evidence because it feeds into that horror trope of the villain actually being the really nice guy. But if Chip is A, then I don't really understand why he would go after the girls. Unless there's maybe some like familial relation to Angela or Leatherface. I'm just like saying anything at this point. While watching myself talk for like 4 hours of this while editing, I was thinking, why have I not said it's Sean? Like, I feel like it could also be Sean, similar to the Chip theory, like no one would expect it and everyone be like, oh my god. I do think that if it turns out Chip is the one that assaulted Tabby, then Chip is not A. I think those two are different people. I think that's a reveal. A is a reveal, Leatherface is a reveal. I don't think Leatherface would work with the person who assaulted Tabby or Imogen because of the history with Angela. A problem with the Wes being A theory is that scene in the pilot where he's about to kiss Tabby and then they see Leatherface standing there. But then that could also be used as evidence because maybe he's A and Leatherface, as I said before, different person, and they're working together. Because in that scene, he looked more annoyed that that person was standing there rather than scared. Like, he didn't really seem that scared. I'd be shitting. So maybe it's like, ugh, why are you here? Like, you're so dumb. Like, why are you here? Go away. Ugh. Like, that kind of vibe. Another spanner in my theories is that it seems Leatherface is targeting people who are the liar's perceived enemies. He killed the janitor that was leering at Farron in the pilot. He killed Karen, he killed Tyler, and he scared Kelly with the machete. Interestingly, all of these victims have a direct link to Farron, and who's a character that fits into being the same age group as the mothers and also has a direct link to Farron? Her dad, Zeke. There's a scene of Farron coming home from the Spirit Week dance and he's like asleep in the chair. I don't know, maybe he's exhausted from doing some physical work, such as carrying bodies around and pushing people off scaffolding. But then, if Leatherface is A, then why would they care about Karen Beasley? If Leatherface isn't A and is a different person and Leatherface is Zeke, then why would Zeke care about Angela Waters? Also, I feel like there was something with Sheriff Beasley being the same age as the mothers. Like, maybe he's the one that assaulted Angela. I don't think he's Leatherface. Obviously not. He wouldn't have killed his daughter. But there's something going on there, babe. There is truly something going on. Me watching Pretty Little Liars, ooh, there is so something going on. Like, you people don't get it. I'm so smart. I'm so cognitive. I'm watching this show and I'm like, there's something going on. you people, like, you watch it and you don't think that, like, we're different. Also, I feel like there's definitely got to be more oils in episode 8, 9, and 10. Like, let's be honest. Let's be real. Let's be real. It's looking bad for Greg. It's also looking bad for Chip if he's not A, maybe even if he is. Some questions that we need answers to in episodes 8 to 10. Who assaulted Imogen and Tabby? Who assaulted Angela? Who is A or who are A and Leatherface? Why is Mouse's birthday so drastically different in the intro? Who is Mouse's biological dad? Could he be Leatherface? There's definitely some big link missing, and I think that will put all the pieces together, and I'm really looking forward to finding out what it is. That brings me to the end of this video. Definitely make sure that you check out Pretty Little Liars Original Sin streaming on HBO Max, especially with episodes 8, 9, and 10 coming out this week. Feel free to put your thoughts and theories in the comments below. I'm definitely interested to see what you think, if you agree with me, if you think my theories are the worst thing you've ever heard. Thanks again to HBO for sponsoring this video, and thank you all for watching. Peace out. Bye.